Wish my day got brighter this easy. Just turn this up and that day goes dark, and that way it gets brighter.
Wish my day could get less bleedy. He's a bleeder.
You know, if this was the maybe 1800s, I could tell you to go get a leech. And you would believe me because that was...
to my face. I just have it hanging off my nose. I don't know what it's like for you, but if I cut myself shaving, it gets into a little scabby thing, and I shave the next day, and I cut it again, and I shave it. You know what I mean? It's stupid.
Are we talking about shaving or Windows updates?
Yeah, pretty much. God, a lot of stupid commentary on Twitter. When did that start happening? Jeez.
The good news is I broke, well, I don't know if I broke it. I'm going to blame Tim. I think I broke thurrott.com/live. I don't know if I tried to update it, and then it didn't update. So, you know.
It's probably something he did. Damn it.
Oh, All right. Everything appears to be working. Nobody's screaming it's not. Are you ready?
Sure.
Hello, everybody. It's Friday. I'm jovial. Paul's a little purple and bleedy. And,
I know. A little shaving mishap. Sensitive area right under my nose. Must be all the drugs I do. I don't know what's going on.
Paul, there was some big news today, and I don't think you caught wind of it, because I believe, well, if you would have caught wind, you probably would have pinged me about it.
Okay.
You're familiar with Essentials?
Essentials.
The phone, or Essential, the phone company, Andy Rubin thing.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
So you know what they bought?
They bought something?
Mm-hmm.
Did they buy a phone they can actually sell? Sorry. What did they buy?
They bought the Newton Mail app.
Really?
Not even kidding.
So what did two turkeys make again? Do you remember how did that add up?
Not a ham sandwich.
Really? How did I
It kind of flew under the radar. An obscure site kind of reported. TechCrunch wrote about it like an hour ago. I saw it really early this morning because somebody messaged me and said, "Oh my God, somebody bought the Cloud Magic part of it." I think it's the business company, but their business was Newton Mail, and so they have bought this. And yeah, if they could bring it back to life in some sort of fashion, Andy Rubin will get many of my rubles to let me re-download it and get it all set back up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder. Essential says we are always on the outlook for companies with great technology and talent to help accelerate our product roadmap. Maybe they're going to go more the software route. It worked for Next, you know. I really wish I could stop bleeding. This is really irritating.
I was more just surprised that Essentials had money to buy something. I mean, that was, which is what makes me nervous about this. I mean, provided all their material was right that they put on their blog, which granted I know is a little heavy-handed because Newton Mail's whatever, they're gonna spin things positive. But they said at one point they had 40,000 paying subscribers. I don't understand how they were losing money, but I don't know. But
yeah, if we had 40,000 paying subscribers, we would be doing the show from Aruba.
Yeah, and I would get to play like I wouldn't be playing PUBG on an Xbox. I would be hiring people to go lay out in the field, and then I'd do all that.
I wouldn't be bleeding now. I'd have some.
I don't know if that would fix bleeding.
Person would be fanning me to prevent the bleeding.
Can you do platelet transfers? Maybe we can get you some more platelets.
I just have really sensitive skin, Brad. I don't understand why.
It is wintertime. It is a little chilly. You got to moisturize and.
It's true. I don't do enough moisturizing. I think that's a fair statement.
Maybe we'll ship you some. We should start selling Throt branded cocoa butter for all your lubricating needs.
Right. If you look at my bathroom, everything in there has like a little colored T logo on it. It's kind of hard to tell things from each other. But
you know what I hate about Skype, among the many things? See that little window up top?
Yeah.
I gotta get rid of that.
Oh, you're right. Okay, there's two of them for me because I see the one I normally see and then the one that shouldn't be broadcasted. How fun. That's the thing you hate about Skype?
Well, the challenge with it is so I call Paul and I call him and I get the stream up and running and that window opens, which it's fine. It's the first time it opens. It's fine. I have no problem with that. So I close it and then I click on XSplit, which allows me to do this. And then it reopens again until I have to close it a second time and then.
Stupid.
Yeah.
Now, you're not using Skype on the computer right in front of you. Skype is on a machine in somewhere far away from you, so you have to get up.
In the cloud. Well, in
So
the cloud
thing
meaning the desk over there.
Right. One of the things I can't stand about the new Skype, well, there's a couple things. Like, if you mouse over the video chat that we're doing now, you can see like controls kind of appear. And one of them is like a throbbing heart. It sits there and it throbs.
Are you sure that's not what's causing your bleeding?
No, that's a real heart that's throbbing that's causing it. But why would it be animated? Like, how distracting is that? Or if you just go into like a normal chat window, I noticed this yesterday at a meeting. There's the little bubbles that let you know when someone has seen something you've typed.
Yep.
Right? Which, I got to be honest, completely pointless. But the thing I hate the most is next to everything that someone has written, every one of those little text bubbles, there's a little smiley face. What? And that is another way that I can click on that to get to do a reaction. So here's what I just learned as I said this. A, why is it a smiley face? It looks like everyone's typing smiley faces. B, it's actually the same function that I described as a throbbing red heart on the video window, but it has a different icon in the chat window. Why would there be two different icons for the same thing?
We're just going to rename this episode "Old Man Rants About Icons."
But okay. But seriously, right?
Look, I'm not saying you're wrong. Like this was not in the show notes to just rip on Skype. The thing that Skype needs to do
organically. This happens with no prompting whatsoever.
I just want Skype to be the basic chat app that it was born to be. It doesn't need to what they're chasing is user engagement. They want people clicking and playing with the app, and all people want to do is just not play in the app.
Yeah. I'd also like to not bleed. Maybe Skype could have a feature where it hides the blood.
Michael Martinez says in the chat room, he says your house must be in Chernobyl.
Well, it is in the Wild West, based on my experiences from last night. But
yeah, kind of more like the Middle East. Well.
Okay. Yeah. Well, he didn't have an AK-47 at least. But
these show notes are going real well today.
Right. Sorry about that.
This is the everyday. The other things that are happening this week, before we talk to the topic du jour, is if you play this game on the PC, not my drink here, which I'm underhydrated this morning. If you play this game on the PC, there's a new snow map. If you're on Xbox or PlayStation 4 now, that'll be coming in January, and it's yeah.
If you want to play Black Ops on the PC, you can get it now for $30. It only includes multiplayer and Blackout, which is their battle royale game. So you don't get the zombie experience, which honestly I never play anyway. So
yeah,
it's only PC. So if you happen to be a PC gamer, it's actually kind of a nice cheap way to get into what is already the best-selling game of the year.
See, here's the interesting thing about what you just said. Yeah. So I firmly believe that it probably is the best-selling game of the year. But is it really? Because I would almost guarantee that Fortnite has more transactions, but Fortnite's free, so there's no buying of the game.
Yeah, I mean, right. So Call of Duty is still a retail game that people pay $60 a shot for, or more. Actually, I mean, I basically pay $120 a year to play this game. But yeah, no, Fortnite has changed the game industry. In fact, I just saw this thing this morning about Counter-Strike, which is an ancient game, is available for free right now for some reason, and they have added a battle royale game, right?
Sure.
Like the influence of Fortnite cannot be understated, cannot be overstated.
What did I do?
Yeah, it's huge.
There we go.
But yeah, I mean, they didn't charge for it on.
The thing is, though, is I love this game. Like I play it all the time. It's
PUBG.
Well, I mean, compared to Call of Duty, this is the golf of first-person shooters, right? It's slower. It's a little. It's out
So,
in the.
like,
It's
what do you
out-
mean? Okay.
Well, I mean, if you play the larger maps, you're not just running into battle all the time. It's a little bit slower pace. Granted, there's stress involved, and you play in a team or you play in a foursome. Actually, much like golf,
It's
you're out
more
in
like
the wilderness.
serial killer of shooters is what I would call it. Although I guess like golf, you could often be looking over to a great expanse of green and never see anyone else.
You can. And that's part of the fun because then you got to get a vehicle and drive across it. And sometimes you flip and roll and kill your whole squad. And other times you sacrifice your whole squad so you can run over somebody. That is my favorite thing to do. Be in a car full of 4 people. We'll see someone standing next to a rock, and I will hit that rock at 120 kilometers an hour. Kill the person, my entire squad, but at least I got a kill. It happens.
Right. It is job one, really.
It is. I got my kill. That sucks that you guys didn't. Sorry. Catch you next time.
Yeah, you would fit right in with Call of Duty then because I can assure you that is basically the mentality.
So, anyways, the big news of the day, which is not my dapperly dressed guy who goes into battle every day, is Snapdragon late yesterday, 4 p.m. Eastern time, about 1 p.m. Pacific time, whatever, something Hawaii time. I don't know why I'm giving you time zones. Announced the Snapdragon 8CX. It stands for like computing extreme or extreme computing or something random in that nature. But what's important here is that this is a ARM-based chip designed specifically for Windows PCs. So there's mobile aspects to it, but it's not that they just took the same 835 that was in a phone, threw it in a laptop, and installed Windows. This is...
Which is what they did before.
Yeah, which is what they did before. This is hey, we actually doing this right, third time around, very much in the Microsoft, do everything 3 times to get it right. And so, this is going to be super interesting.
I'm looking at all the photos people are posting from this event, and they are mirror images of what we did last year. Like, it's exactly the same.
Oh, did you see what I tweeted Rich Woods today? He was online this morning, and he was
super
talking about
early.
watching a
And
show.
it was windy, right? Was it the windy thing?
No. Before that, this is how
Yeah.
he got to the windy part. He was in his room like, oh, great, I can watch all the shows that are usually on at 3 a.m. or something at 10 a.m. in Hawaii. And I said, Rich, go outside, walk to the beach, turn left, find that path, and walk for an hour.
Yeah, thank you. Because, by the way, I almost did that to him as well. He had a tweet where he said something like, it's cute that the hotel here tried to prevent me from accessing the HDMI port on my TV. And my response to that, which I did not post publicly, but what went through my head was like, how the frick do you know that there's an HDMI port on a TV in a hotel room, but by the way, is in Hawaii?
Yeah.
Go outside.
Don't get us wrong, guys. Rich is a good friend.
Yeah.
I talk to him
Yeah,
frequently, but he's in Hawaii, the same place Paul and I went last year. Maybe we'll go next year.
Exactly the same.
Literally the same place that we got lost multiple times.
Yeah, yes, we did. That's true.
And so it's a gorgeous place, but it's very, very far away.
Yeah, it's just too much travel to do it this year. We could have gone, but yeah. Anyway, I'm not. I mean, there's a part of me. I see some of the pictures. I'm like, oh yeah, this place is really great, But honestly, we can cover this news fine and not be there. And being there is not going to help us answer the questions that we have about this thing, which is, what is the performance really like? And they're claiming Core i5. We don't know what that means exactly. Did they mean like dual core i5, Y series, whatever? But
Right.
If they're in that ballpark, this solves 50% of the problem with Windows 10 and ARM. There's not much they can do to solve the other 50%, which is this compatibility issue, right? Which is 64-bit Win32 apps, everything Adobe makes, for example, Photoshop, etc. Except maybe work with Adobe and those companies and see if they can make that happen on an app-by-app basis. So far, by the way, has not happened, not once, but that's the goal. And so, they've done some porting, like Firefox is being ported to ARM, so that will work natively on the platform. Chromium, of course, is as well.
What about Edge?
And they're working, yeah. And, well, Edge actually already works, but nobody uses it on that platform either. Yeah. So
that is low blow. Anyways.
Anyway. This seems like good news. I will say, I just this week got in a Snapdragon 850 based PC, right? The first one, I believe it's the Lenovo Yoga C630. And with the understanding that the first generation Snapdragon 835 based PCs were literally unusable and were the rare product that I cannot recommend to anybody in any circumstance. This one is better. And it's still, what I want to do is compare it to, I have that Intel Y series HP Envy and I'm going to do some performance comparisons with that perhaps today. But somebody recommended to me a set of benchmarks that runs on ARM as well as on Intel, and it's a store app. And so I did run this benchmark across on both the 835 and the 850 system. And again, this is just a number, you know, and I'm not sure what it means exactly, but it was 22% faster than the 835 based system. So
that's
Qualcomm,
decent.
yeah, Qualcomm claims 30%. I will say, just anecdotally in using it, with a couple of rare exceptions, it's fine. And when you do something like load Microsoft Word, it comes right up. It appears instantly. It's very quick. If you do something like run Chrome, which right now is an x86 application, has to be emulated, there's a slowness to the initial draw of the window. And the way I see it is that I use a plugin called Momentum as my new tab screen. It's just a beautiful picture.
Yeah, I use the same thing, actually. This is weird.
Yeah, it's really nice. When you run, if I leave Chrome, the last time I used Chrome, the only thing left in the window is that new tab screen, and I close it, and then I bring it back up. What happens is that the window comes up, it's white. There's a blue or a kind of a greenish blue circle in the middle with an M on it. That's the logo for Momentum. You don't normally see this on your desktop system. Usually it just kind of comes up. And then the actual
image,
appears. So there's that little bit of it. But I wouldn't call it a deal breaker. Like it's, it's 22 hours of battery life. I think it's 1.2 gigabit, I guess, LTE networking. It does have 8 gigs of RAM. It's UFS storage, which I think is fine, 120 gigabytes. It's not like some of the really crappy PCs we've seen this year. So I mean, it is better, And so I'm gonna keep using it. I'm gonna write a performance follow up on this thing, but I would say they're heading in the right direction. And so when you look at the 8CX or whatever they're calling it, this is supposedly 2 times as good as the 835 or the 840 or the 850. I'm not really sure which, but that could be significant.
Here's the thing that excites me about Qualcomm taking this more, and I think it's fair to say more intentional direction with their chips, is for Intel releasing chips year over year over year. They're gonna have a certain amount of sales, and they're gonna do whatever. They could probably estimate it out a couple years about what's gonna go on with their chip sales.
Yeah.
Qualcomm, on the other hand, is massively incentivized to make a desktop class processor on ARM be successful because they have 0 sales. Let's just say last year was 0, whatever, 10,000, something very small.
0. It rounds to 0.
Right. Qualcomm's upside as a business, if they can make this happen, is massive. They can make a whole bunch of money that will take away from Intel, that's good for the consumer, but more importantly, it's good for Qualcomm. And so if there's one company out there right now that could upset what Intel is doing and make Intel get serious about building chips and building high performance stuff, it's Qualcomm, it's not AMD. NVIDIA you could potentially lump in there too, but I'm very hopeful that Qualcomm gets this figured out and really makes these chips just awesome, because then Intel has to compete again, which they haven't had to do for a while.
Yeah. The value prop here has always been the same. Like if the worst thing that happens is Qualcomm fails, but they have influenced Intel to the point where they make their chips more efficient, we still win.
Yep.
The only the kind of questions for the future are, when will these new PCs appear? According to Qualcomm, not until Q3 of next year. Q3 is July and on, and so given the timing of things in the PC industry, what that basically means is an August reveal and then a release in October, November. So it's kind of later than I would like. The other thing, just to kind of keep in your back of your mind, and this probably won't happen unless Windows 10 on ARM takes off in an appreciable way, but way back when, when this was first announced, Microsoft said, and Terry confided in me privately about the rationale for this, but that we're working with Qualcomm because we need someone with scale that can make this thing happen. And you can see the impact that they're having. I mean, a few companies could do what they're doing right now. So it's kind of incredible. But if this thing takes off, they're going to open this up to other ARM makers, right? And that could impact Qualcomm's market share or whatever. So, we'll see. But right now, it's very clear that they were the right partner. to go forward with this. And things like, all this Chromium, there's a bunch of nonsense. Like Microsoft was working with Google on Chromium, for ARM, and no, they weren't. But Qualcomm was, and Qualcomm has even arguably a vested interest bigger than Microsoft's in some ways to make this platform make sense. And they're the ones who are really pushing this stuff through. And so, this is a sad comparison. I'm sorry if this will go off the wrong way. I don't mean it like this, but they're almost like Nokia coming on board with Windows Phone, because this is something that would have been dead in the water without their involvement. A smaller ARM-based company could not do this. And the only chance of survival they have is for Qualcomm to be this involved and this engaged,
Yeah. I don't disagree. I don't know. I don't want to sound like a broken record, but I'm excited to see where this goes. I'm excited to see how this is going to pair with Windows Lite. I keep learning more and more about what Microsoft has up their sleeve with that. And
actually, if I could just real quick on the Windows Lite thing, the one thing I will say is, regardless of anyone's impressions of the system, based on our understanding of what it is, this is an ideal thing for the ARM platform, right? Because you don't have to worry about the desktop app compatibility thing, even though Microsoft did, in fact, solve that to some degree with emulation. And so now what you get is a system that has all of the benefits of ARM, the battery life, 25 hours-ish, probably more in this system, the standby time, the seamless connectivity, whatever the new user experience is, whatever that looks like. I mean, it's kind of a nice combination of things, and it makes it more viable. In some ways, it's a better match to the ARM stuff, than big Windows is.
Yeah, the big thing too, and I have a Surface with LTE around here I got a review for next week. I've been using it for a bit. But with Google Fi, it's Google Fi, not Project Fi now. Google Fi coming on board with all this stuff and eSIM starting to kick around, these things might be coming online right at about the right time. At least for me personally, because one of the reasons why I haven't really ever gone that LTE route is, one, Verizon is just prohibitively expensive to do that. They charge you like $10 a month for another SIM because they're jerks and all that stuff. And I'm hoping that eSIM comes along with this Qualcomm stuff and makes it real simple for me to just dump my data on there with Project Fi or Google Fi.
I mean, you could get a data SIM right now and do the same and still do this. The issue is,
I like being able to.
No, I get it, but I mean the trick there is you would have to be on Project or a Google Fi as your primary carrier, because the thing you're describing, like $10 a month on the SIM, like you'd have your Google Fi would have to be activated, and the base price of that thing is $30 if you include data, or really $20 in taxes, whatever.
Right, but if I'm already on it, like
but if you're already on it, yes,
very tempted once this kind of gets through that teething issue. And the reason this jumps into my mind is that we're looking at vacations for next year, and I think. I'm not going to explain where we're going, but I think Paul and I will end up in Washington, D.C. in June. And so what we're trying to do is maybe go hit like a beach vacation, like Myrtle Beach somewhere a few days before that. And we might end up driving just because we typically travel a lot and whatever. We'll drive to Myrtle Beach. And I'm thinking, well, Surface Go with LTE would be great for my kid in the backseat to stream the crap to keep her quiet.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's true.
This is dad planning 102. 101 would be learning what, I don't know, a device with LTE is, I guess, something. I don't know.
That's a possibility.
Yeah. So we will see. We shall see. What else is going on in the world? Skype updated something that Mehdi wrote about, but I didn't even actually see because I was too busy trying to.
I saw the image for that article in the editor, and I thought it was a spammer. So, because it was a picture of an attractive young woman, and I thought, there's no way this is for our site. And so I started looking through the comments that weren't approved to see if I could find the spammer, but it turns out it was for the Skype article.
I will throw this image up there. Oops, where did it go? There we go. This one behind me, because a lot of people are saying, oh my God, this is Centaurus. Oh, never mind. I can't.
You talk about the book looking thing that was in the Snapdragon video. Yeah.
It is per my understanding that is not in fact Centaurus. So for those people who are looking, some people were saying it looks like two Surface Go's next to each other. It's not that either. It's just a Qualcomm thing. So don't get overly excited by it. But
well, I mean, the whole industry is looking at foldable and two-screen device types of various kinds. And so I don't think that's a thing that exists. I think that's a thing where they're like, look, this is the type of thing that our platform enables. You could, we can do this new thing. I don't think it's meant to represent an actual product.
You know what's going to be super interesting, though? I just thought about this. Imagine that Centaurus device, right? Remember what Microsoft showed off at the New York event with Android apps? The how you can mirror your Android app.
Oh yeah, I'm like, what are you talking about? Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I was at that event. Am I losing my mind?
Yeah, you were sitting right next to me. I know you were. Good thing you were paying attention.
I think Panos sprayed me with some pheromones or something.
Graphic. Very graphic. But I'm curious of how that's going to play into all this too, especially with Windows Lite. That was kind of where my head was going. They've got this Android app kind of replication thing on Windows. Granted, Windows Lite might be missing some of the componentry, but I don't know.
Yeah.
There's a narrative here somewhere, and I'm trying to figure out how it all pieces together.
Right. So, in other words, instead of bringing back Project Astoria or whatever, using an app mirroring thing, because your phone's going to be with you all the time anyway.
Yep.
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, geez, I mean, you've used this kind of thing, sort of, right? Like remote apps. It's not. I think when the stuff starts to make sense is when you have some sort of local app virtualization technology, right? It's something Microsoft's had in the enterprise for a long, long time. AppV, MedV, whatever. And in the beginning days, those things were really kind of unsophisticated. So you could be running like Windows XP, and the window that would come up would look like a Windows 2000 window because the thing it was running on back in the data center or something was Windows Server something, whatever. And over time, it became local to the machine, and it became natural looking to the user. So if you had like a AppV version of Word next to a local version of Excel, you could run the things side by side, copy and paste between them. You'd never even notice the difference. And I still think bringing Android to Windows would be huge. And, maybe that's the first step, and maybe what I'm describing is the second step.
Yeah.
But I think it's something you want where you're on a plane and it still works. Your phone doesn't have to, And we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. This week has been kind of upending in all regards. So while it may have been unfathomable 5 months ago, never say never at this point.
Well, that was the thing. So I tweeted this morning. It's like, well, and I sort of hinted that I might write something about this topic of anything is possible now. So let's brainstorm a little bit. Like what could happen? And someone asked me this morning and asked Paul, like what's the craziest prediction you could have, given all the stuff that just happened? Like, okay, anything is possible. What could you predict? And I'm not very good at predictions. I've never been really, but okay, but it's not hard to think of these things. What if they just open source Windows 10? Right? This goes back to this thing I keep talking about endlessly, like it makes any sense at all. But that conversation I had about maybe Linux being the underpinnings for some future thing because Linux is open source and blah, blah, blah. Well, what if they've open sourced WPF and WinForms and WinUI? They're taking the open source Chromium for the browser. It's a legacy operating system anyway. I mean, why they could do what they're doing with WPF? This might be a better way for people to evaluate what's going on in Windows and to provide feedback about what should change than say maybe the Insider program or whatever. Yeah, it's crazy. I think someone could punch a hole in this theory very easily, but for example, Microsoft charges for Windows right now, and enterprises pay for it. But then again, in some ways, what they're really paying for is support and management things that go alongside Windows. I mean, Windows 10 effectively is free over a period of time. I mean,
would it be that hard? Because look, they could open source the OS and charge for patches. I mean, granted, those patches.
They'd have to.
Granted, those patches would eventually make their way into the system, but
that has to be included. But
does it?
Yeah, I think it does. But I think the real reason this won't be possible and is not something anyone is considering is because of the sheer complexity of Windows and how far back a lot of the code goes, and that honestly there would be embarrassing disclosures as hackers and people, developers started looking at the code and they'd be like, oh my God, look at this piece of crap here, whatever it is, some legacy thing that's still sitting there untouched. And I think they may just not want that level of scrutiny, honestly.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we're just dreaming big here. I think that'd be kind of incredible. And by the way, it would stick a knife into the heart of desktop Linux. I mean, that'd be
Yep.
the end of that.
Yep. It'll be interesting to see what happens in the years to come. You got anything else for today, Paul, before I start playing more PUBG? While the video renders?
I'm going to work on that C630 thing, which is the ARM-based PC. I want to try to come up with something reasonable to say about it as far as performance goes. But like I said, my early testing on that is, I thought there were huge scratches in its top, but it's just the logo. I thought it was like gouged or something. I'm not sure if I'm going to have that done in time for today, but I'll be looking at that today for sure.
You know what I'm not going to be doing this weekend?
Working?
On the book.
Yes.
That is, I'll be writing. I mean,
I will be working on my book, but nobody gives a shit about that. Why would they? It's like completely uninteresting. But
although the
you
audiobook,
pass the time.
The audiobook is in progress for those who are,
Mm-hmm.
and by in progress, I mean we're on stage probably 2 of 48 maybe, but
Sure.
I think they.
Sure. By the time you actually get to that, Surface won't even be a thing anymore.
I hope not, because then the book will never sell again. So, all right, folks. Well, that wraps it up really for this week. It's been a very interesting week. We have Edge news. We had this new Qualcomm stuff. We had Windows Lite. There was I can't imagine that next week is going to be any crazier than this week. But have yourselves a wonderful weekend, and we'll catch you right back here next time.
I mean, honestly, this week was good timing because it's been awfully quiet.
Yeah, maybe they could have spaced some of this stuff out a little bit, but here we are.
It's true.
Um,
It's possible they didn't intend to reveal this week.
I really don't think they did, because they have
because
nothing to
aside
show
from
for it.
the vagueness of that post, which I thought was really weird, they just had a developer event.
Yeah.
Like, why would you not announce it there? That would have been huge.
Yep, I agree, but we will see. I can't imagine there's too much craziness ahead, but
See what you're doing, though. You got to be careful. You never know. Now you never know.
all right.
Enjoy your downtime while you can.
Later.
Bye.